I hereby call Swarthmore Borough Council's work session to order, May 6, 2019. I see that all members of council are present and accounted for, as is our Mayor, Maureen Spiegel, Borough Manager Jane Billings, and Borough Solicitor Bob Scott. Welcome to all members of the public. We're going to have a short public hearing momentarily, but before we do that, because we have two public comment periods today, it being a work session, is there anyone in the public that would care to address council on any matter at this time? There'll be another public comment period at the end of the session if you want to stay for that. Hearing none, the public comment period is closed. I now am opening a public hearing on the proposed ordinance number 1085, amending and or supplementing the zoning code of the Borough of Swarthmore by adding senior cooperative housing as a conditional use in all zoning districts except VA Parks districts and NC institutional districts, and establishing certain standards and criteria for approval. I'm now going to turn the hearing over to Betsy Larson to explain to us what this ordinance is all about.
All right. It's really pretty straightforward, I think. What we're trying to do, again, in continuing with trying to meet the requirements of the Aging in Place Task Force report, we are going to open properties up so that they can be basically multiple housing units with shared living space. And that's for people who are 55 and older, with the possibility of a caregiver in the property as well.
Great, thank you, Betsy. As this is a public hearing, are there any members of the public that wish to give any testimony or otherwise address ordinance number 1085? Yes, ma'am. Please come to the podium.
Okay.
State your name and address.
I'm Barbara Bevan at 318 Park Avenue. And
Thank you, Rick.
I am interested in the possibility of this ordinance applying to one big house as well as multiple houses, because I know there are so many big, beautiful old houses, and I think the ordinance says it has to be two or more.
No. I thought I addressed this. I know I had gotten at least one email about this.
Right.
It can either be a single property or multiple dwellings. It's kind of like Morgan Circle would be an ideal sort of property that we have in mind for this. But also, if you have, I referred to the Hodges house a couple times because I'm more familiar with that as this ordinance was being discussed in planning commission.
It's actually, if I can make the definition, a facility containing multiple dwelling units, but it's a facility.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Great, thanks.
Thank you. Any other members of the public that would care to testify or make comments on ordinance 1085? Anyone else on council here to comment?
I think it's great, and I think we should all thank Betsy for how hard she worked on it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think this is totally in line with the Aging in Place Task Force recommendations, and thank you, Betsy, for shepherding this through. It's very important, I think.
Jane probably deserves more credit than I do.
Well, Jane deserves more credit for everything.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that kind of, I guess we should say that from time to time, but it's sort of understood. Any other comments? If not, I'm going to bring the hearing to a close. The hearing on ordinance number 1085 concerning senior cooperative housing is closed. For my portion of the agenda, I really only have one thing, and that is we have received a letter from Delaware County's Department of Human Services Office of Behavioral Health requesting that the Borough of Swarthmore declare the week of May 5th to the 11th, 2019 as Children's Mental Health Awareness Week. Delaware County Council has apparently already done this on their May 1st meeting. Sir, would you know, is that true?
Yeah.
Great, okay. So we have been provided with a sample proclamation. I've looked it over. It looks really good. So I'm going to read it, and then we'll have a vote as to whether or not we should adopt this proclamation. Whereas good mental health is a key component in a child's healthy development, and Children's Mental Health Awareness Week provides the opportunity to focus on this important matter, while celebrating the accomplishments of children and families affected by mental health concerns. And whereas 1 in 5 children experiences or will experience a mental health disorder. Whereas research has shown early identification and appropriate treatment of mental health disorders among children and adolescents provide them better opportunities to lead full and productive lives. And whereas children and youth with mental health challenges and their families benefit from access to timely services and supports that are family-driven, youth-guided, and culturally appropriate. They also benefit from the integration of behavioral health in primary care, education, and child welfare. And whereas it is important that children and adolescents, along with their families and communities, learn about warning signs of mental health disorders and where to obtain necessary assistance and treatment. And whereas obtaining a full and accurate diagnosis of a child requires gathering information from diverse sources, including the family, school, and others involved with the child. Now, therefore, the Borough of Swarthmore does hereby proclaim May 5th through 11th, 2019 as Children's Mental Health Awareness Week. That's the proposed proclamation. I move that we adopt said proclamation. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I think it's a really, obviously, a very important issue and a good idea. I would hope that maybe in addition to that, we could do as much as we can to bring awareness to the issues mentioned in the resolution, and maybe look into ways of doing that in the borough. I know that we already do have information in the library and information out on the kiosks and bulletin boards and community information, but I think it's important to continue to do that and to do more.
Yeah, I agree. And any ideas that people have about that, please bring them forward.
So is this going to be every year, obviously, right? Or no? Oh.
I don't know. I know, I'm not sure that's the case, but one might suppose that that's the case.
So that's a good thought. So if it is
Right.
again next year, if we can get some more warning time about it, then maybe we could do a little bit more in addition to passing the resolution, but I think this is a great start.
That would be great. Any other thoughts, comments? All right, let's have a vote then. All in favor of adopting the proclamation I just read, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. The proclamation has been adopted, and Swarthmore Borough proclaims the week of May 5th to 11th, 2019 as Children's Mental Health Awareness Week. Thank you. That's all I have for my portion of the agenda. Lauren, Environment Committee?
I don't have a report. We didn't meet this month, and we are meeting in May. And I wondered if we could meet on there are 5 Wednesdays. I wondered if we could meet on the 29th instead of the 22nd. As far as you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
So we're going to meet then. On the
Let's
29th.
check if there's a room.
Yeah.
If there's a room, yeah. 'Cause I
7:30?
can't do it on the 22nd.
7:30.
Yeah.
Anything else?
That's it.
Thanks, Lauren. Mike, finance?
Yes, thank you. The Finance Committee did not meet past month, but we will be meeting this coming month. Actually, the fourth Monday is Memorial Day. I think we have a new date scheduled, but at least we'll probably know. So I'll have to email out to the committee.
You'll email
Yeah,
that?
the exact date.
All right.
So I think we've come to a consensus on a better way to reallocate our unrestricted fund, but we're going to go through some of the details specifically as paying down particular debt service. Of course, welcome any public's contributions that would like to make it to that to that meeting. Again, I'll advertise that date next Monday, but also I'll send out an email, hopefully by tomorrow, for the specific date. I know it'll be at 7:30, but it's not going to be on that Monday.
Okay.
And that's it.
Thanks, Mike. Sarah, General Government.
We did not meet last month, but we will be meeting on the 20th, which the usual date, the third Monday at 7:30 p.m. in this room.
Great, thanks. Betsy, Planning and Zoning.
Sure. First of all, we have 2 candidates to appoint for zoning hearing board alternate. This is a little bit of a change for the past. We had 2 people interested, and we can have 2 alternates. So the committee decided to go ahead and request to appoint both of them. Can I vote on that this week or next week, or does it matter?
It doesn't matter, but we normally do it the second.
Okay, so we'll vote on that next week. Their names are Chris Hunter and Robert Richardson, and I really appreciate their interest in getting involved in the running of our community. So other than that, we did meet last month, and we had an applicant. We heard from an applicant who's applying for a use and occupancy permit to open a new business in town, which is exciting news. And other than that, we raised the possibility of beginning to discuss an ordinance that would provide for affordable housing if there is development that happens in Swarthmore. So that's it.
Okay, thanks, Betsy. Mary,
Thank you. We did meet last month, and the main item on the agenda was a resident of the 600 block of Milchester Road came to bring to our attention about speeding, perceived speeding on the street. And full disclosure, that's my block that I live on, the 600 block of Northchester. So this was my next door neighbor who came to the meeting, and we advised him that if he wanted to do more than just have the flashing speed measure sign installed near the house, he needed to circulate a petition to the neighbors to get something more done. So Public Works did install that sign. I can see it flashing outside my living room window, but at any rate, he did circulate the petition. He got enough signatures. We forwarded it on to the Traffic Advisory Committee, but then we heard back from the Traffic Advisory Committee that since that, it's controlled by PennDOT, not us. So I'm not sure, Jane and I talked about this very, very briefly, I think that was today, but I'm not sure really where we can take it from here, if at all, or if we have to make some sort of a plea to PennDOT to look at things, but I don't know.
I think my recommendation might be, since the Traffic Advisory Committee probably is not going to be, not feel that they can do a lot, if we do want to give it to PennDOT, I think if we give it to PennDOT with some data, it would be helpful. So since we have the traffic counters, I think I would recommend getting some traffic counts, maybe at each end of the block or something like that, because I would guess that they would want to see that kind of data before they did anything, and then at the same time ask the police to pull any accident data. Those are the 2 major things you look at: volume, speed, and accidents when you're deciding about traffic calming. And I don't know what PennDOT's internal process is when they have a request like that, but I would guess that the data would be helpful.
Okay.
do we even know who the request goes to at PennDOT?
No, I don't, but I'm coming back with the engineer, I'm sure they can figure that. They do have a fairly active traffic calming unit. I don't know, I mean, we're not gonna have to send it to somebody who's unfamiliar with the process and the traffic calming handbook and options and things like that. We just have to find who the right person is.
So are you talking about something more than what's been up so far, that flashing sign? and
Right, I would get
speed?
data, the same thing that we just got on Yale
Okay.
Avenue.
All
I
right.
put down the traffic counters for a week. I would maybe in 2 locations.
Mhm.
And that will give an idea, again, of speed and volume, which are going to be critical. And if they use that, it's actually their traffic calming manual, PennDOT's, that has that chart that we use, the rubric that we use to determine. So I would think that they would do the same thing. But again, the highest scoring points are speed data, traffic counts, and accidents. And then there's other points given for, if you're a pedestrian generator, you're going somewhere in particular, you're near a school or a library or something like that. It's a little more qualitative than the other stuff, which is quantitative.
So I should, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was, if you're all right, I'll just talk to the chief, is usually the one who
Okay.
takes care
I
of
was going to
that.
say, yes, that'd be great if you could do
Yeah, the
that.
machine's all up and running and good to go.
Okay, thank you. That was really it for our committee report, and we will be meeting this month, but it will be on Wednesday instead of Tuesday. It'll be Wednesday, May 22nd at 7:30 PM because of Election Day on May 21st.
We already advertised it.
We did that a long time ago. We already,
Check on both of those.
yeah, we decided this. Yes.
So we'll have
Check
a
for
room.
mine too?
Yeah.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry to do that.
We should have room because they're not using it. Right. We can have Laura.
Well,
Who should have a role?
who's we?
Public
Oh,
safety.
okay. Yeah, no, we decided that a long time ago. We're in here,
Okay.
because I just said it.
You changed it.
We changed this because of Election Day months ago, when we first set up the calendar.
But they're the third, no, because she's the third.
Mhm.
They changed it from the.
We're the third Tuesday, and instead we're going to be the third Wednesday. We're moving it over one day.
That's the fourth one.
That's the fourth Wednesday.
Because there's a million Wednesdays.
Yeah, but it would have been.
Well, let me just check, I'll send you an email tomorrow.
No, because the month started on a Wednesday.
I get it. Let me check.
Thank you.
I'll check the
All
rooms,
right.
I'll check the schedule, and I'll send these to
Thank
everybody
you.
tomorrow. For the
Okay.
entire month of May.
All right, thank you. All right, very good. So we're going to have a public safety meeting somewhere.
Good,
Okay.
good.
Thank you. That's it.
Just make sure it's a safe place.
Okay, we will.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is that it?
Yes.
Okay. Ross, Public Works?
So, on the meeting that was held this week, Mary or Lauren will report on that, but before we do that, I'll just say that we are going to meet at our regular time, which is May 23rd, Thursday at 8:30 in the morning. And I just wanted to report that the committee last summer reviewed a request by a resident, Quincy Campbell, who helped to lead Daisy Troop 556 about putting up a little free library, and so pursuant to our rule about you have to have permission to put something on public property, they came in with their proposal, was reviewed by the committee last summer, and they did it in conjunction with the library, with the Swarthmore Public Library. And they decided to put it in Thatcher Park, the top lot, and so that was agreed upon, and they did do it, and Cuzzy Public Works helped them by putting the concrete post in the ground, and it's up, and it looks great for people going by Thatcher Park, and they're going to have a ribbon cutting ceremony for anybody who wants to come for that. The ceremony will be Friday the 10th at 5:45 in Thatcher Park, and everybody's invited who wants to come. And so that's a nice thing. And I'll just note that there have been these meetings conducted by the County Planning Commission, I guess, on placemaking. And several people on council attended those, and they did mention Little Free Libraries as one of the placemaking things. So we're doing what they recommend. I should say Quincy is doing what they recommend. So we really thank Quincy and her team for doing this. It's a great thing. And that's all I wanted to say, and then turn it over to Lauren and Mary, because I was absent because of the funeral meeting.
I'm turning it over to Mary, because she took the notes.
I did, but Mary didn't bring the notes, but here's what we talked about at the last Public Works meeting. Nate Linderman, who is an Eagle Scout, came to get the final approval for his Eagle Scout project that I think had already wound its way through general government, so this was just the final, approval, and these were for two signs that he's going to have. One is going to be at the fire department, and then the other one's Little Crum Creek Park. And if I understood it correctly, it has one of these, what is it, Lauren, a Q code? Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you scan it with your phone, so then you scan the sign and then it tells you the information about whatever this historic place is that he has the sign on. So it looked like a really neat, well-done project, and we were happy to approve it. And other than that, I do not recall anything we took action on other than approve the meeting minutes.
Yeah, that's about it.
That's it. So we missed you, but that was it. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
All right, any other business member of council would like to bring up at this time? If not, I'll ask our mayor.
Thank you. All right, let's see. What happened this month? Ray and I, the chief and I, attended I guess this is has been an annual event at the college. It's the college every year, actually it's a 3-year cycle. The college does emergency management drills, and they work in 3-year cycles. The first year is basically planning, setting up a scenario of potential emergencies and trying to get people prepared for what we would do in the case of such emergency. The last one they did was a hazardous waste spill at the train station. So the first year is a planning, to sit down just to talk about various committees, what responsibilities. The second year is a little more setting up the scenario, and then the third year they actually carry out the drill. So it's actually a hands-on with bodies laying on the ground, etc. So this year it is the theme is it's a pandemic. We're talking about right now. They were talking mainly at the meeting was measles. So what would happen if there was a case of measles on campus that could potentially affect not only the campus community but also the greater Swarthmore community? Somebody that would. So it was and they'll kind of be working this in the next 3 years, and so it was a really. I was incredibly impressed how organized and how well thought out this whole process is. Ed Klein, who was formerly the police force and now on the county emergency management team, came and did a really incredible presentation. So it was really a really well done and a worthwhile day. So I'll keep you up to date as to what's going on. On the 22nd of April, Monday the 22nd, there was a meeting at the high school auditorium on medical marijuana use. The lieutenant governor came, invited by, I guess it was by Mary Gay, and talked about.
He's actually making a statewide tour.
Yeah, this is a 40th or 47th stop on his statewide tour of every county in the state, trying to feel the pulse of the community in terms of their opinions on medical marijuana. Well, I'm sorry, recreational marijuana, not medical marijuana. It was adult use marijuana.
Yeah, I thought it was legalizing the whole.
Yes, it was what does the community feel about that? Most of the people there, even though they said the issue of medical marijuana has already been decided, it's really, we're talking about adult use recreational marijuana. Most of the people there really talked about their use of medical marijuana. It was a heavily pro audience. There were a few dissenters, a few people that had issues with the whole use, both of medical, but certainly recreational. But generally, it was a thoughtful meeting, well run, and for the most part, people were fairly positive. As kind of as a coincidence, today I was watching the news before I came in, and Morton has just opened up a medical marijuana dispensary tonight. Actually, today I think was their opening day, and it went with there was no major issues, no protesters. People were very gratified that, in fact, that they could get medical marijuana if they were eligible for it locally. So let's see. There's an open house. The public safety office at the college is having an open house at 3 o'clock on May 10th. If people would like this, is that Friday? If people would like to attend, they certainly would love to have us there. My brief experience working between college and the college public safety department and our police and our public safety committee. I mean, I have to say that the relationship really seems to be pretty solid right now. We've been working I think they've been working well together. The borough's been very supportive of them. I think they've been really understanding in terms of what the role of the borough is. So if you have an opportunity to get over to the public safety open house, that would be great. And then this Saturday, the farmer's market opens. So don't forget the farmer's market. It'll start this Saturday and run through the end of, well, the beginning of December, 9:30 to 1:30, right here in the parking lot. So come on down. And that's all I have for this.
Thank you, Lord. This being a working session, we have a second public comment period. Any members of the public care to address council on any matter? If not, second public comment period is closed. Jane, do you have anything?
Yeah, I just want to let people know the sanitary sewer project that was approved by council, which is being paid for mostly with a grant. We'll be beginning in the next couple of weeks. The engineers met with both contractors today, and I think the president has the contract to sign right over there, so that's exciting. What street? Many streets. Many streets, most of it underground, most of it is actually a lining project. Again, just to reiterate, the good money spent on televising those lines means you can see them before they collapse. You know they collapse when there's a big hole in the ground. You can't see them unless you televise them. And we've got, I think, almost a mile that we're lining, which is way more than you could get done for the same price if that pipe had collapsed. So that's really money well spent. That annual inspection that's done 1/7 of the borough every year. And then there's some work, again, above ground, a couple areas where there was no other choice but to repair that way. The bids for this year's paving project are coming in at 11 o'clock on Thursday, as has been done before. The contract has been bid with Marple and Springfield Township. And I'm hoping for the best. I'll have a report probably by Thursday afternoon of how the bids came in. We did bid the base price, which is about what's in the budget, and then hoping that the bids come in strong, which is low, and maybe we'll be able to add an additional street. We normally do that just so that we're ready to go if the bids come in low. Council can also decide to just spend money out of reserves or some other way if they choose to. That will be a discussion item for Monday, and decide which way to work. So that's great. And unlike last year, people may remember we got really, really behind in the paving, and it was November before they were here. So there's a date in the contract of September 1st. This time the contract must be completed. It sounds like a long way away, but we're not going to award until June. You've got 3 municipalities. So really that's a realistic date for them to be done, and should avoid the problems we've had in the past.
Thank you, Jane.
Thanks. I'm going to ask for an executive session to discuss the Gebhardt zoning hearing board appeal, and that's all I have.
Very good. All right, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.